This is round 17 in the Sunday morning prelims at the 2019 NAQT High School National Championship Tournament. This game pits the 113 card against the 123 card. From Georgia, we have Westminster B, and from North Carolina, we have Raleigh Charter. Both teams are ready to go. Best of luck to both teams. Here's toss-up 1. The version of this statement for stochastic processes is Ito's lemma. To apply this rule in several dimensions, one can take the product of two Jacobian matrices. This rule helps find a substitution when integrating. One way to state this rule involves the expression f prime of g of x times g, yes.
Chain rule.
10, bonus. The speaker of this poem states that his country is kill tartan cross and that his countrymen's kill tartans poor. For 10 points each, name this poem whose title character muses those that I fight, I do not hate, those that I guard, I do not love.
I literally have no idea, but like, all right, go for it.
An Irish airman foresees his death. This Irish poet of the Lake Isle of Innisfree wrote An Irish Airman Foresees His Death near the end of World War I. Yeats declared a terrible beauty is born in this poem named after the date of an Irish uprising.
Easter 1916.
Defer.
Easter 1916.
20 points, toss-up 2. In this country, performances called Sing Sings comprise an annual festival in the city of Goroka. In World War II, battles took place along this country's Kokoda Track and on its island of Bougainville. Talk piscine is a lingua franca in this country. Yes?
New Guinea.
Neg 5. In this country that has the most native languages of any country in the world, Port Moresby is the capital of. For 10 points, what country that shares a namesake island with Indonesia? Yes?
Malaysia.
No, Papua New Guinea is what I need. Sorry. Toss up 3. This play begins with a seller of meat pies stating that he would not marry again for 100 baked lobsters. Its characters include the wife of a locksmith named Anna, who dies of consumption in its third act, as well as the tramp Luca, who disappears after the landlord Kastilyoth is killed. Scenes from Russian Life is the subtitle of, for 10 points, what socialist realist drama by Maxim Gorky? Yes.
The lower depths.
10, bonus. A redacted set of applications filed under this law was released to the public in July 2018. For 10 points each, name this act that allows the government to apply to a secret court for a warrant to collect information on people, including American citizens, suspected of espionage.
Patriot Act.
Patriot Act.
FISA. The FISA warrants were issued against this volunteer foreign policy advisor for Donald Trump's presidential campaign, who promised the easing of Magnitsky Act sanctions during a 2016 trip to Russia.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I don't think so, but it's not.
Manafort.
Carter Page. The FISA applications were released pursuant to a request filed under this act that allows disclosure of non-sensitive documents.
Yeah.
Freedom of Information Act.
That's 10, toss-up 4. Observations of this constellation led to the discoveries of Uranus and Pluto. A major December meteor shower comes from the direction of this constellation, whose symbol resembles a Roman number 2. Appropriately enough, its two brightest stars are nearly equal in magnitude. Between Taurus and Cancer is, for 10 points, what zodiacal yes?
Gemini.
10, bonus. This man assumed a new last name and fled to Virginia after killing a mutinous sailor in 1775. For 10 points each, this father of the American Navy who captained the Bonhomme Richard during the Revolutionary War.
No answer.
John Paul Jones, who named his ship the Bonhomme Richard to honor this minister to France, whom Jones befriended while in Europe in 1777.
Franklin, right?
Franklin, yeah. Franklin.
Jones captured 2 British ships at the 1779 battle off the coast of Yorkshire, at which Jones cried out, "I have not yet begun to fight."
Well, shoot, what's it called? It's not Monitor versus Merrimack, but
Answer?
No answer.
Flamborough Head. 10 points, toss-up 5. The rise in the number of these devices as wealth increased was plotted on the JIP curve. The Western Electric 500 was a ubiquitous model of this device, early versions of which came in a candlestick design. Japanese users of these devices often employ the greeting moshi moshi. Yes?
Radio.
Neg 5. Elisha Gray engaged in a lengthy U.S. patent dispute over the creation of, for 10 points, what device invented by Alexander Graham Bell?
Telephone.
Yes. 10, bonus. Flaring of the femur's metaphysis and constriction of its diaphysis produces a deformity in which it becomes shaped like this piece of glassware. For 10 points each, name this type of flask named after a German chemist. It has a wide bottom and a narrow neck to minimize loss by evaporation.
Defer.
Erlenmeyer.
This long, narrow piece of glassware uses a stopcock to slowly dispense precise amounts of solution during titrations.
Burette. Yeah. Burette.
This piece of equipment is often made of porcelain and designed to withstand high temperatures, such as those produced by a Bunsen burner.
Isn't it the dish? That's where the
Watch glass.
The crucible. So 20 points, toss-up 6. 2 characters in this novel find a sack full of bones while searching for gold that one character intends to use to fund the 7 days, a group that randomly kills white people to avenge atrocities like Emmett Till's death. The central family of this novel names daughters by sticking a pin in the Bible. Yes?
Song Song.
10, bonus. This country's Wabar craters legendarily contain the lost city, Aram of the Pillars, which was destroyed after defying the ancient prophet Hud. For 10 points, name this country that contains most of the desolate Rub al-Khali, or empty quarter.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
The mythical city of Ram is often called this city of the sands. Plato described how this mythical city sank in a single night.
Atlantis.
Oh, it's Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Yes. In 1928, Faisal, who was then prince and viceroy of this region of West Saudi Arabia, whose name means the barrier, destroyed a site believed to be the tomb of Eve.
All right, what's the barrier in Arabic or Spanish? And then encerada.
Answer?
Defer.
Encerada.
Al-Hijaz, 20 points, toss up 7. This organ's function can be measured via administration of the polysaccharide inulin. This organ reacts to hypoxia by secreting the hormone erythropoietin. Serum levels of creatinine measure the health of this organ because yes.
Kidney.
15 bonus. This man likely ordered the poisoning of his rival Drusus Julius Caesar. For 10 points each, named this equestrian who was replaced by Macro after he was executed and thrown down the Gemonian stairs in AD 31.
Go with Pompey.
Defer to Emery.
Pompey.
No, Sejanus. Sejanus was prefect of this group that personally protected the emperor. In AD 41, this group proclaimed Claudius emperor after killing Caligula.
Defer to Sarah.
Praetorian Guard.
As head of the Praetorian Guard, Sejanus wielded great power during the reign of the second Roman emperor, who moved to the island of Capri.
Defer to Sarah.
Tiberius.
20 points, toss up 8. This emperor's forces won the Battle of Rahamal, allowing him to topple the Khurrani dynasty. This emperor upset members of the ulema by imposing the Zoroastrian solar calendar, which, yes,
Cyrus the Great.
Neg 5, which was supported by his biographer Abu Fazl. This son of the emperor Humayun defeated the forces of the Hindu king Himu in the Second Battle of Panipat. The grandfather of Shah Jahan was, for 10 points, what great Mughal emperor? Yes.
Genghis Khan.
No, Akbar the Great, toss up 9. This man responds to the comparison of his hair to a colt's mane by throwing hot applesauce at his interlocutor. Yes,
Hindley?
Neg 5. He concludes an anguished speech by asking, would you like to live with your soul in the grave? This husband of Isabella swaps a lock of his own hair into a locket for some belonging to his rival Edgar Linton. For 10 points, named this young man who obsessively loves Catherine Earnshaw in Wuthering Heights. Yes,
Heathcliff.
for 10. This group included Alexander Wolcott, who was the inspiration for the main character of the play, The Man Who Came to Dinner. For 10 points each, named this round table of literary figures who met at a hotel in New York during the 1920s.
Is this the
Answer?
Defer to Emery.
Fireside?
The Algonquin Round Table. The Man Who Came to Dinner was written by Moss Hart, and this member of the Algonquin Round Table. He collaborated with George and Ira Gershwin on the musical Of Thee I Sing. Answer?
Smith.
George S. Kaufman. This witty member of the Algonquin Round Table wrote the lines, men seldom make passes at girls who wear glasses.
Smith.
Dorothy Parker, nothing on the bonus, toss up 10. Alan Chambers apologized for the adverse effects of this practice before dissolving Exodus International in 2015. In 2015, a New Jersey court found the Jewish organization Jonah guilty of consumer fraud for offering this service. The 2018 film Boy Erased depicts this procedure, which, yes,
Conversion.
10 bonus. This language can be written out using Stokey notation. For 10 points each, name this nonverbal language used by deaf people in the United States.
American Sign Language.
Yeah.
ASL.
Yes, the ASL signs for the two English letters trace the shape of the letter in the air with an extended finger. Name either of those letters.
Z.
J is the other. This private college near Washington, D.C. teaches classes in both English and ASL. It was the world's first school for the higher education of the deaf.
Georgetown?
It's like specific.
Maybe. Georgetown.
Gallaudet, 20 points, toss up 11. In what is now this country, British forces under William Elphinstone were massacred at Gangdamak. A province in this country's east was renamed Nuristan after its residents converted to Islam. Wazir Akbar Khan was a 19th century emir of this country whose claim to Herat was defended by Britain as part of the Great Game. Yes.
Afghanistan.
10 bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about the biology of killifish. The killifish Nothobranchius furzeri can be used as a model organism in studies of this process, also called senescence. It occurs rapidly in the disease progeria.
Oh, AJ.
Defer.
AJ?
The mangrove killifish is the only vertebrate that exhibits the simultaneous form of this phenomenon. Clownfish display a sequential form of this trait known as protandry.
Isn't it like mimicry? I don't know.
Protandry. Birth.
I'm sorry?
Birth.
No, they're hermaphrodites. Many killifish eggs can survive temporary dehydration by entering this kind of state in which an organism suspends development and enters a state of metabolic dormancy.
Dormancy.
No, it's in metabolic
Estivation.
dorm.
Estivation.
I note diapause, 10 points, toss up 12. This equation is used to calculate the transmission and reflection coefficients of a rectangular barrier. Solutions to this equation include a Gaussian wave packet in free space, exponential decay in a forbidden region, and standing waves for the particle in a box. H psi equals E psi is the time-independent version of, for 10 points, what fundamental equation of quantum... Yes.
The Schrodinger wave equation.
Don't say anything. I'm going to say neg 5, and you can protest if you want, okay? What is the time-independent version of, for 10 points, what fundamental equation of quantum mechanics named for an Austrian physicist? Yes?
Schrodinger equation.
The Schrodinger equation is just what I have. I don't have wave on my answer line.
We'll
Okay, so
protest
yeah,
that.
we'll
noted.
protest.
Noted.
I think it is.
Bonus.
Yeah, it is.
This man was released from prison in exchange for agreeing to help protect New York's waterfront during World War II. For 10 points each, what gangster and early leader of the Genovese crime family was nicknamed Lucky?
It's not, go with Machine Gun Kelly.
Al Capone.
No, Lucky Luciano. In 1936, Luciano was successfully prosecuted by this man who lost the 1948 presidential election to Harry Truman.
Dewey.
This Jewish mobster helped arrange Luciano's release from prison. This former partner of Bugsy Siegel authorized Siegel's murder in 1947.
Okay, it's not Al Capone. Go with
Answer?
Capone.
Meyer Lansky. So that's 10 points on the bonus. That Schrodinger wave equation is acceptable for Schrodinger equation. So we are removing points from Westminster for that. Raleigh Charter gets 10 points for the correct answer, and this is their bonus for that toss-up. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Okay. Your bonus. This composer divided one collection of works intended to accompany eating into 3 productions. For 10 points each, named this German composer of an influential 1733 set of Tafelmusik. Along with J.S. Bach, he was one of the historic leaders of the Leipzig Collegium Musicum.
Awful music is.
Answer?
Defer to Gartha.
Brook.
No, it's Georg Philipp Telemann. Telemann was a prominent composer of the late part of this stylistic period, commonly given the dates of 1600 to 1750.
Baroque.
Yes. Tafelmusik musicians often performed from another room, like the female chorus that fades out at the end of this movement of Gustav
Jupiter.
Holst's The Planets.
No, not Jupiter.
Saturn.
Answer?
Jupiter.
Neptune. Neptune. So that's 10 points on the bonus. And now it is halftime. At the half, following the protest resolution, the score is Westminster B, 40, Raleigh Charter, 185, and this is toss-up 13. Good luck, both teams. The top of this non-U.S. building is lit in a different color for each day of the week. Rui talisman motifs adorn the exterior of this building, whose mascot, the Damper Baby, was based on its tuned mass damper. This building's design includes 8 stacked main sections that resemble a pagoda. Prior to the complete, yes,
Taipei 101.
10, bonus. Angelique White claimed the word island misidentifies this thing as it is more of a diffuse soup. For 10 points each, in September 2018, the Ocean Cleanup Project launched a massive effort to reduce the size of what waterborne agglomeration?
Oh, this is
It's like the Great Pacific Gyre or something like that.
Yeah.
Answer?
Great Pacific Gyre.
I'll prompt you.
Like the trash in the Great Pacific
That
Gyre.
is 10. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch consists of refuse trapped by one of these major oceanic current systems.
Gyre.
Yes. The garbage patch is regularly monitored by this U.S. research agency that studies seas and the atmosphere, and it issues severe warnings through its subsidiary, the National Weather Service.
Noah.
I think so.
Noah.
That's 30. Toss up
job.
14. This man, who was known as the bicycle-riding envoy during his time in Beijing, sent Brent Scowcroft on a secret mission to reaffirm relations with China after the Tiananmen Square massacre. This politician, who referred to community groups as 1,000 points of light, ordered a troop buildup in Operation Desert Shield after the Iraqi invasion. Yes.
H.W. Bush.
10. Bonus. A Nintendo 64 entry in this video game series included a procedurally generated X Cup for 10 points each, named this Nintendo Racing Series, whose tracks are often set in Mute City, Big Blue, and Port Town.
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Mario Kart.
F-Zero. This F-Zero pilot is also a playable character in the Super Smash Bros. Series, in which he utilizes a namesake loudly announced punch.
Defer.
Oh, Star Fox.
No, Captain Falcon. An F-Zero game was partially developed but never released for this failed Nintendo console that required players to put their face up to an uncomfortably positioned visor to view crude, all red 3D graphics.
No idea.
Dude.
Well, that's the first.
No answer.
It's the Virtual Boy. So toss up 15. This functional group is found in the oxidation product of the Cannizzaro reaction. These functional groups react with amines in the synthesis of nylon 6,6 and can react with glycerol to form triglycerides. They are more stable. Yes.
Fatty
Time,
acids.
neg 5, in the synthesis of nylon 6,6 and can react with glycerol to form triglycerides. They are more stable when deprotonated since their 2 oxygen atoms have partial double bonds with a carbon due to resonance. Vinegar and formic acid are examples of, for 10 points, what acids with a COOH group. Yes.
Carboxylic acids.
10. Bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about conflicts between First Nations people and the Canadian government in the 1990s. In 1990, this easternmost Iroquois tribe erected barriers to prevent a sacred burial ground from being turned into a golf course. Joseph Brant led this group in the late 18th century.
Is this the tribe?
Nez Perce, I think.
Yeah.
Nez Perce.
I know the Mohawk. In the 1995 Gustafson Lake Standoff, initiated by Shuswap elder Percy Rosette, was the most expensive operation ever undertaken by this national police force.
FBI, maybe.
Yeah.
FBI.
I know the Mounties. This man who defeated Kim Campbell in the 1993 election was prime minister during the 1995 Ipperwash incident in Ontario with the Ojibwe.
Say Pierre Trudeau.
Trudeau.
No, Jean Chrétien. So nothing on the bonus. Toss up 16. Ambidextrous competitors in the sport are nicknamed Bisweptuals. A royally sponsored annual event in the sport takes place in the English town of Henley. In the Hall of the Mountain King plays as the Winklevoss twins compete in the sport and the social network. Teams in the sport train. Yes.
Like rowing.
10, bonus. Good job. This painting, which was dated to around the turn of the 16th century, shattered auction records when it sold for over $450 million in November 2017. For 10 points each, this painting of Christ wearing a blue and gold robe, raising his right hand in blessing while holding a glass orb in his upturned left palm.
That was by Da Vinci, I think.
Answer?
The Last Communion.
Salvator Mundi, which is attributed to this painter of the Madonna of the Rocks who drew the Vitruvian Man.
Da Vinci.
Yes, Salvator Mundi broke the record for most expensive painting ever sold, previously held by Interchange, a piece by this painter of the Woman series.
Jackson Pollock.
Pollock.
De Kooning, 10 points, toss up 17. The flat scale degree of this number is the root of a Neapolitan chord. Given a natural minor scale, lowering the scale degree of this number by a half step results in the Phrygian mode. Inverting an interval denoted by this number results in a seventh. Yes.
Second.
Yes, that's 10.
Good job.
For 10 points each, name these North American cities with important airports. The largest hub for American Airlines is an airport whose code, DFW, notes it's located between these two cities in Texas.
Dallas and Fort Worth.
This city's airport is the busiest cargo airport in the U.S. as it is the home base of FedEx. Tourist sites in the city include Beale Street.
Memphis.
Yes, the airport in this tiny Newfoundland town took in 38 diverted flights following the September 11th attacks, an event that inspired the musical Come From Away.
Newfoundland. Just guess something there.
No answer.
Gander, 20 points, toss up 18. This man's visit to Tangier caused tension with France that promoted the Algeciras Conference. Queen Victoria's daughter Victoria was the mother of this man, who called the English people mad, mad, mad as March hares in a Daily Telegraph interview in 1908. His power waned under the military influence of Erich Ludendorff and Paul von Hindenburg. For 10 points, name this Kaiser who abdicated. Yes.
Wilhelm II.
10, bonus. Pencil and paper ready. For 10 points each, answer these questions about a 30, 60, 90 right triangle in which the shorter leg, which is opposite the 30-degree angle, has a length of 5. What is the sine of any 30-degree angle?
1/2.
1/2.
Yes. What is the total perimeter of the triangle? You have 10 seconds.
Designated.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Designate Aaron.
15 plus 5 root 3.
What is the ratio of the area of the triangle to the area of a similar but larger triangle whose hypotenuse has a length of 40?
1 to 16.
Defer to Aaron.
1 to 16.
30 points,
Good
toss
job,
up
Aaron.
19. Deceptive marketing of these things led South Korea to fine Nexon $875,000. A 2017 letter from Maggie Hassan led the FTC to investigate these things. Josh Hawley introduced a May 2019 bill that would ban them in products used by minors. In 2018, Belgium ruled using real money to buy these things, known as, yes,
Like virtual currency on games. And
Neg 5. Using real money to buy these things, known as gacha in Japan, was illegal gambling. For 10 points, name these randomized collections of video game items. Yes.
Loot boxes.
10, bonus. Emily Wilson's 2017 translation of this poem begins with the line, "Tell me about a complicated man." For 10 points each, name this poem, Richmond Lattimore's translation of which opens with a description of a man of many ways.
Defer to Sarah.
Beowulf.
The Odyssey. The first complete English translation of the Iliad and the Odyssey were produced by this author in the early 1600s, as referenced in the title of a John Keats sonnet.
Chapman.
Defer
Answer.
to Sarah.
Chapman.
The Iliad and the Odyssey are attributed to this blind Greek poet.
Homer.
20. Toss up 20. Time out? Okay, time out.
Can we get a score check for that?
Yes.
Time out?
If you want to see the answer line on that loot box toss up at the end of the game, I'm happy to show it to you, okay?
Can we get a score check?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I have
That's gonna wait a little bit longer,
Westminster
but
210, Raleigh Charter
yeah.
185.
Good job.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
Yeah, how much time is left? Sorry.
We
got
have
2 minutes. Something like that.
Okay.
2 minutes, 18
We
seconds
play,
left.
even
on
though
the
we're
clock.
down by 24,
And
it's a toss
four
up 5. We just play normally.
5 toss-ups left.
Good job. Okay, we play normal speed. Don't worry.
Emery, great job here.
Thank you.
Don't be too aggressive.
It's 0-0.
I'm trying to play it safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
They got the last couple
Okay.
toss ups. It's in their favor. Hopefully we go to literature. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's literature weight. Yes, it's literature. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, but I
biased.
mean, they're not. They're all right though.
Okay.
The girl on the left, Chapman's like not easy. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, did you
Okay.
guys know Chapman? You did. Okay.
Because Chapman's homer is
Yeah, looking into
followed by-
Chapman's homer. Yeah.
Great job, y'all, so far.
Yeah, but then it says 1600.
All right. Are both sides ready for the second half?
Yes.
Well, no, for the rest of the second half.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, score.
The score is Westminster 210, Raleigh Charter 185.
Best of luck, both teams.
Thank you.
With 2 minutes, 12 seconds left on the clock, the score is Westminster B 210, Raleigh Charter 185, and this is toss-up 20. A section of this poem that begins, "Be near me when my light is low," precedes a section that describes an infant crying for the light and with no language but a cry. British debates over evolution often use this poem's description of nature as red in tooth and claw. "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." Yes.
In memoriam AAH.
15. Bonus. This game show's categories have included What Had Happened Was and It Ain't Like That. For 10 points each, in this recurring quiz show parody on Saturday Night Live, whose contestants have included Doug, a right-wing Trump supporter played by Tom Hanks.
Black Jeopardy.
Darnell Hayes, the host of Black Jeopardy, is played by this longest-serving cast member in SNL history.
Kenan Thompson.
On a 2018 Black Jeopardy episode, this contestant gets a correct answer after working out that Karen's potato salad would likely be under-seasoned and contain raisins.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman.
Prompt.
Black Panther.
30, toss-up 21. This philosopher wrote that stupidity is much the same all the world over, in a work on which he collaborated with his stepdaughter, Helen. This man's father, James, wrote a history of British India. This man's wife, Harriet Taylor, contributed to his book, Principles of Political Economy, and was the dedicatee of a book by this man that discusses the harm principle. For 10 points, what utilitarian yes.
Mill.
10. Bonus. If the atmosphere is dry and at hydrostatic equilibrium, this quantity is about 9.8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. For 10 points each, name this rate at which air temperature decreases with increasing altitude.
Klein, I don't know.
Answer?
Klein.
The lapse rate. The lapse rate is typically positive in this lowest layer of the atmosphere where almost all weather occurs.
Troposphere.
The lapse rate sign change at the top of the troposphere contributes to the flat anvil-like shape of these large clouds that can produce strong storms.
Yeah.
Defer.
Cumulonimbus.
20, toss-up 22. A version of this song by James Corden and Alicia Keys changed its lyrics to discuss Keys hosting the Grammys. A verse in this song is addressed to a boy who is keeping it so hardcore. A need to crash through the surface is declared in this song, which is performed by Jackson Maine and his protege, Allie. The claim, "I'm off the deep end," is made, yes.
Shallow.
10, bonus. For 10 points each, answer the following about the death of Heracles. Heracles died after donning a shirt soaked in venom from this creature, which grew back 2 heads whenever one was removed.
No,
Hydra.
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 The Hydra's venom got on the shirt by way of the blood of this centaur, whom Heracles shot with an arrow dipped in the venom.
Karen. If we don't have centaurs.
Answer?
Chiron.
Nessus. As he was dying, Nessus lied to this wife of Heracles, telling her his blood would serve as a love charm if Heracles was ever unfaithful.
Defer.
Marco Luca.
I know, Deianira. Deianira. So that's 10 points on the bonus, and we'll get a final score. Westminster B 210, Raleigh Charter 280. Excellent game, both teams. Congratulations. What a match.
Hey guys, this is Jeremy here with a round 17 post-game interview with Raleigh Charter, who just won their game. And guys, that was crazy. I mean, 2 minutes left in the game, you guys were down by 25 points. Came back and won the game by 7. You took that time out. Like, what was going through your mind when you were down? I mean,
Well, like, we blow leads like always, but it's whatever. But, like, we knew if it was only 25, even if they get the next toss, we have time to catch up. So I was just like, all right, it's like 0-0. And then Sam powered literature, which is kind of weird because Sam doesn't really know literature. But he's like, in memoriam AH.
do each of you have a specialty, or are you mainly generalists and just cover each other?
Somewhat. So like, they're generalists. I only know literature. Sam knows yeah, and Sam knows science, philosophy. He's the generalist.
By the way, the whole day they've been eating from this giant bag of Honey Nut Cheerios. I'm not mad at them either.
We're only halfway.
You have to keep fuel
Yeah, we're
throughout the
actually
day.
disappointing our efforts.
The
Like,
games are interrupting our
we should be eating way more.
You should be done with the bag is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and finish this bag, but join us by following us on NAQT on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you got pictures of your team doing whatever crazy stuff here at the tournament, hashtag them with hashtag HSNCT. We love to see your content. We love to share it out with the world and get more people to be interested in Quiz Bowl.
Hashtag Marco Luca.
Marco Luca.
Listen
Hashtag
on
Marco
Spotify.
Luca.
LUKA.
Listen to that, you go, whoa.
If you like Raleigh Charter, you like Marco Luca.
If you like Raleigh Charter, you're like
He
Marco
goes to
Luca.
Raleigh Charter.
He goes to Raleigh Charter. 80,000 listens on the song.
We had his song.
You got 128
Out of your head
And
while-
motivated us.
during the
Yeah.
comeback.
Yeah.
Well,
It's our theme music.
Yeah.
check it out. Raleigh Charter. We'll see you guys after round 18.